fence.
That's what I had to look at.
Got it. That's Frank? Someone else, Frank?
That's me.
Oh, that's you, okay.
Yeah. And then Girl Scout troop.
Okay.
Everybody to go? About there.
Surprisingly very little. Surprisingly very little. A couple other things left over I want to ask you about. Okay, it is 7 o'clock. We do have a quorum. Call the City Council meeting to order. First items we have on the agenda is the invocation by Deputy Mayor Pro Tem Durham, and the pledge to both the American and Texas flags is going to be by Girl Scout Troop number 3230. If you would, stand and join us, please.
Would you join me in a moment of silence? Thank you.
Okay, would y'all like to come forward for us, young ladies? Well, I don't know that we've ever had this many young, beautiful women in this room at one time. Come on down, ladies, if you want to. Oh, okay. See?
Girl Scout attention. Color Guard advance. Color Guard honor our flag. Audience, will you please join me as I recite the pledge to the American flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Audience, will you please join me as I recite the pledge to the Texas flag? I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Color Guard, return to rank. Color Guard, dismissed.
Let's give these ladies a big round of applause. Thank you all very much. I tell you, that's what it's all about in this country is, you know, we have a wonderful police and fire honor guard that do a wonderful presentation of the flags and the pledges, but I don't know, it'd be awful hard for y'all to top that, both chiefs. It'd be hard to top that, and that was very special. Thank you. I could ask John Lee to come down. Good. Why don't you turn around here? We've got a proclamation we're going to present Mr. Lee tonight. Whereas the Louisville Baseball Association has provided services for 50 years with all volunteers, and whereas the Louisville Baseball Association was established in 1960 to give the youth in greater Louisville area a safe, organized league to play baseball, and whereas the Louisville Baseball Association is the oldest of its kind in this area, and whereas the youth of the community are at the forethought of every decision made in the organization, And whereas scholarships are offered to the less fortunate families in Louisville each year, and whereas this year in Pitch-In program was started, which allows families to donate their gently used equipment so that less fortunate families will not have to purchase equipment for their children. And whereas the Louisville Baseball Association operates boys and girls programming in t-ball, baseball, and softball, now therefore I, Dean Euchert, Mayor of the City of Louisville, Texas, and on behalf of Louisville City Council, do hereby proclaim March 27, 2010 as Louisville Baseball Association Day. In the City of Louisville, we'd like to invite all city officials and their families out to participate in our kickoff festivities, which are scheduled to begin at 6 p.m. on March 26, 2010. I, Dean Euchert, Mayor of Louisville. I want to thank you so much for what you and the organization has done over the years. I've been involved with them for years past, in the past when I was a little bit younger, and I've really enjoyed it, and I know it's made a big difference for a lot of these kids in our community, and I thank you so much for you and all your volunteers that have worked over the years.
Thank you.
And I want to present you with this, and then we'll get you some pictures, and we'll give you a chance to say something.
Okay.
All right. Now I want to give you an opportunity to speak.
Okay, I think I can project out here where you can hear me. Thank you so much for this. I go back a lot of years with the LBA. My son started playing baseball in the LBA in 1990. I coached him from 1993 to 97. And now he's helping me coach his son and my other grandson. They're 11 and 12 out of the LBA. So it means an awful lot to me, and all that you've done as a city for the LBA, if they're building the facilities, improving the facilities, making it better and better for us. We just want you to know how much we appreciate it, and thank all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
To have Hillary Bowen come up, please. Just one minute. All right. Looking at that, didn't see it. Hillary, it's a pleasure to meet you, ma'am. Thank you for coming and joining us tonight. I have a presentation to make tonight who Hillary, and in the City of Louisville, Aquatics was awarded the Texas Public School Council 2010 Category 2 Agency of the Year Award. The award was presented by to Hillary Bowen, is it Bowen? Bowen, I'm sorry, aquatic supervisor at the Texas Public Pool Council conference held in College Station, Texas on Tuesday, January 5th, 2010. On behalf of the City Council, I'm proud to present this award to the aquatic staff and thank you for your continued efforts to provide quality programs to Louisville aquatic facilities and all you do for the community. And I truly want to say thank you so much. Once again, it is all about the kids. And this is just a beautiful award that you've received on behalf of you and all the work that you and all of your volunteers and staff members have done for the community here in Louisville and for all the kids. And we thank you so much for all that you've done. Thank you. Thank you. Say a few words?
I would just like to thank you, Mayor Euchert, and the council for your continuous support. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And if we could have Chief Mark Hefner from Keller PD come forward for me, please. Chief, how you doing, sir? Thank you for coming. Thank you. I'm doing great. Thank you very much. I'm not going to take the stand here. I'm going to let Chief do his job. He's got a special award he wants to present to the city tonight, and all the work you do and all the stuff that you communicate with your local police officers and your local police enforcement in the area. We appreciate all that you do, sir.
Well, thank you, Mayor.
I'll give it to you now that you.
Yes, thank you. About 5 years ago, the Texas Police Chiefs Association formulated a program where departments can show voluntary compliance to meet or exceed best standards in the state of Texas. The police chiefs wanted to raise the bar on law enforcement, so they created this program with that in mind. I'm happy to be here tonight because the Louisville Police Department has exceeded the standards, and they're going to be recognized today. What does recognition mean to you as citizens, and what does recognition mean to you as council members and city manager? Well, we have 162 best practices that were developed throughout looking through the country on the best practices for law enforcement to make sure that the police department is not only doing their job, but doing it with excellence. The 162 standards were comprised by members of a chief group. The Louisville Police Department entered that in August of 2008, the process to say we want to voluntarily do better. We want to be the best in law enforcement in the state of Texas. So what they had to do was take those 162 best practices, redo their policies to meet those practices, and that's just not it. They had to show compliance. We sent a team of assessors in here a couple months ago, and they had to show us that they meet or exceed those standards. Put this in some perspective. What does it mean? Well, there's over 2,000 law enforcement agencies in the state of Texas, and Louisville is the 28th to achieve this. So, Russ, Chief Curbo, would you
If I could, I'd like to have Captain Jay Powell come forward, who's our program manager.
As chairman of the Texas Police Chiefs Association Foundation Recognition Committee, it's my pleasure to present this to you, your department, and the city. Congratulations. Well deserved.
Thank you, Mark. I just want to say, Mayor and Council, and also the Manager's Office, thank you so much for the support that you've always shown the Police Department. And really, we couldn't achieve these kind of things if it wasn't for the great staff that we have. Not only Captain Powell, who I challenged with the role of being our program manager and overseeing this, but the members of my command staff that worked with him to do that. If you guys would please stand up so we can recognize you. Chief Galler, Captain Deaver, Chief Taylor, and Manager Lyons. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you very much, Chief, and we want to thank and congratulate all the recipients tonight on all the work they do for our citizens and for our community here. It's what truly makes this city a wonderful city to work and live in. Next item on the agenda is item E, Visitor Citizens Forum. At this time, any person with business before the council not scheduled on the agenda may speak to the council. No formal action can be taken on these items at this meeting. I do have a couple cards filled out here. Start off with Mr. Mark East. If you'd like to come forward, sir. If you would, Mr. East, just give your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Sure. It's Mark East, 2438 Antler Trail, Louisville, Texas. How you doing, Mayor?
Fine. Thank you, sir. Feel free to speak.
Good to meet you. I actually stood before you guys back in December. I'm here today just to bring up a kind of an update on the visitors issue that we had at that time, which was let me start back. I'm one of the directors of the DFW Fright Nights Incorporated, which is a organization, a nonprofit organization that puts on special events. And to date, we've done a couple of years of special events in the city, two October events, which were haunted houses, and then we just did a December event, which was a Christmas extravaganza kind of get together for the kids. To date, we have raised $15,000 for the charities that we've raised money for, which were this past year the Heroes of Denton County and the Louisville ISD, or special organizations within the high school. So we had an issue brought from our last year event. We back up to a neighborhood this year. So we go to temporary spots to hold our event, and we had a little bit of a sound issue that we came to find out at the end of our season, which had a speaker come up and speak on that, on that issue. So we just wanted to bring to council that we have been addressing the issues that we had. We just recently did a neighborhood sweep of what we would have called the main affected homes, which came out to about 52 homes within our sound reach area. Within those 52 homes, we were able to catch 38 of them at home, and 37 of them had the option to write down whether they were against our our being there or for our being there, or we're neutral on the I didn't care either way. And out of those 38 homes that we did catch at home this weekend, we were able to speak with 37 of them that were either neutral or mainly for us. And one, of course, was the gentleman that did speak on the issue last time. So he was the one that did not even sign our petition. But it was really an awareness time that we wanted to go out and speak with everyone and let them voice any opinions that they had. And we didn't find that anyone was really against what we were doing. It's a great place. We have over 100 volunteers that put on this event during the times that we're open. Hundreds of volunteers that actually come and go as the season progresses or not, most of which are the high school kids that come over right after high school, right after school, that's out and helps us through getting ready for the season. We've got some of the neighborhood kids actually were participating. We've got some write-ups from their parents how they loved the life skills that they were able to learn on how hard work is, and building and this type of stuff, as well as acting. So we feel like we're doing a lot of good for the community, and we are definitely here to be a good neighbor of Louisville and help some of the organizations out within the city. So really, it was just a report. We were out speaking with everyone, so thought we might want to share that with you guys and let you know what's going on.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Kimberly McQuarrie. Kimberly, if you just give your name and address to the record.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I'm Kimberly McCary. I live at 331 West Walters with my husband, Mike, and I'm here today to let y'all know that I am a candidate for County Court at Law Number 1. That's the juvenile court. It was initially a 4-man race, and thanks to the city of Louisville, I made it to the runoff. It's now a 2-man race, or a 1-woman and a 1-man race, and the early voting is April 5th through the 9th. The voting day is April 13th. I would love, once again, to thank the City of Louisville for getting me here, ask you all for your continued support. I'm very much behind all of you. I had my campaign kickoff party right here in Old Town. I'd like to work with you guys further, and I also want to save the last of my minutes to talk on a very important item later on in the agenda, item 17, and wanted to take one more second to tell you that every interaction that we have with the Louisville Police Department, we've been the victims of crime. My husband's been a little traffic snafu. Every single encounter we have has been wonderful. We let the chief know that, but I wanted to let y'all know that too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. All the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be self-explanatory by the council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests. For a citizen to request removal of an item, a speaker card must be filled out and submitted to the city secretary. The only card I have filled out is from Angela Dunlap, and she was with the auditing firm that did our audit, which is in item number 6, and she's just here to answer any questions if council might have of any. Councilman Thornhill?
With that, Mayor, I don't have any discussion. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Thornhill, a second by Councilman Tierney. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is number 10, consideration of a variance to the Louisville City Code, Section 6-54, engineering site plan requirements, including parking lot improvements for the existing Max Sports Center located at 200 Continental Drive, as requested by Jeff Cornell, representing the owner. The Max Sports Center is proposing to construct additional on-site parking spaces for the existing facility. The new parking lot would be built on the ball field that is located east of the existing building. 77 proposed spaces will be constructed and will create a total of 166 spaces for the facility. There are 136 required spaces for this facility. The additional on-site parking area will necessitate a new engineering site plan. However, a variance is being requested to provide a full grading and paving plan in lieu of an engineering site plan. Recommendation of staff is that the council approve the requested variance as set forth in the above caption. Councilman Tierney?
Mayor, I have no problems with this. Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve by Councilman Tierney.
Second.
A second by Councilman Thornhill. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I did have a card here by Jeff Crandall, who was in support of this, but he was just here for any questions. Motion carries. Item number 11. is consideration of two variances to the Louisville City Code, Section 4-27, International Building Code, prohibiting temporary construction, and Section 2-201, variance fee to allow construction of a temporary structure on the First United Methodist Church property located at 907 West Main Street for use by Habitat for Humanity as requested by Don Lee, the pastor. First United Methodist Church of Louisville is in partnership with Habitat for Humanity of Denton County. Is proposing to partially construct a single-family home on site at the First United Methodist Church property at 907 West Main Street. The construction will be completed when the structure is enclosed, which is estimated to be mid-April 2010. The structure would then be moved to a permanent site in Denton. This location was chosen to make it easier for the parishioners to participate due to the close proximity. The following variances are being requested. A, to allow the temporary partial construction of a single-family home, and B, to waive the $350 variance fee associated with the variance request. The recommendation of staff is that City Council approve the requested variances as set forth in the caption. Councilman Grena.
I don't have anything to add to this. If no one else has any discussion, I move to approve as requested.
I have a motion by Councilman Grena to approve.
Second.
A second by Councilman Durham, and I do have a card here. She did not want to speak, but did want to say she was in support of this by Karen Bunker. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 12, consideration of two variances to the Louisville City Code, Chapter 6, Land Development, Section 6-103, Access Management, and Section 6-148, Screening of Outside Storage, related to the engineering site plan for True Green Company warehouse located on the north side of Jones Street and east of North Mill Street, as requested by Steve Holmeyer, P.E., on behalf of the owner. The revised engineering site plan is required to allow the owner to make a 1,000 square foot addition to the existing building. The revised engineering site plan complies with the GDO and zoning requirements with the exception of the proposed variances. A, to allow 30-foot spacing between existing driveways on adjacent lots and a 2-lane collector to remain. And B, to allow a 6-foot chain link fence with green plastic slats to remain in lieu of the required opaque screening. The zoning for the property is light industrial. The same two variances were granted with previous versions of the engineering site plan: driveway spacing on December 16, 1996, and screening on November 21, 2005. The recommendation is that council approve the requested spacing variance and to consider the screening variance as set forth in the caption above. We do have here Steve Holmeyer is here in support and to answer any questions if needed. Does council have any questions of Mr. Holmeyer staff? Councilman Durham.
Mayor, I'm before both variances here, and if nobody has anything else, I'll make that in the form of a motion.
I have a motion to approve by Councilman Durham
Second.
and a second by Councilman Grena. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 13, consideration of 3 variances to the Louisville City Code, Chapter 6, Land Development, Section 6-103, Access Management, Section 6-98D, Fire Protection Distribution Systems, and Section 6-123, Non-Residential Landscaping Requirements related to the engineering site plan for the DCTA Louisville Lake/Highland Village Train Station and Park and Ride located at the southeast quadrant of I-35 and Garden Ridge Boulevard as requested by the HNTB Corporation on behalf of DCTA. The Denton County Transportation Authority has submitted a site plan for the Louisville Lake/Highland Village Station located at the southeast quadrant of Garden Ridge Boulevard and I-35. The associated commuter parking and right-of-way dedication are located on a contiguous 2.549-acre tract owned by the DCTA, previously Buxton Marine. The engineering site plan complies with the GDO with the exception of the proposed variances. A, to waive the 10-foot landscape strip adjacent to the dedicated street right-of-way. B, to allow 28 feet of driveway stacking in lieu of the required 40 feet. And C, to allow fire protection to the site from a dead-end 8-inch water main 868 feet from the nearest looped water system. The zoning for the property is public use. Recommendation of staff is that the council approve the requested variances as set forth in the caption above. Councilman Durham.
Move to approve as requested.
I have a motion by Councilman Durham to approve as requested, a second by Councilman Tierney. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 14, acceptance of resignation of Stephanie Rogers from place number 2 on the Zoning Board of Adjustments. Declare a vacancy exists in consideration of appointment to place number 2 on the Zoning Board of Adjustment. Stephanie Rogers has submitted an email turning in her resignation from the Zoning Board of Adjustment due to business conflicts effective immediately. The City Council will need to consider a new appointment to fill the vacancy in place number 2. Recommendation is that the Council accept the resignation of Stephanie Rogers from place number 2 on the Zoning Board of Adjustments, declare a vacancy exists, and consider an appointment to place number 2 on the Zoning Board of Adjustments. Councilman Grena.
I want to thank Debbie Ingledew for her service. Those boards and committees are...
It was Stephanie.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Wrong name. I apologize. Stephanie for her... Stephanie Rogers, I'm sorry, I was looking at the next name I was going to recommend, for her service, and I do appreciate it very much like the rest of us, we do. If it isn't for the volunteers that get onto these boards and committees, thank you, by the way, boards and committees that do some of the groundwork for us to recommend things, it sure makes our job a whole lot easier having them on there. So to all the board members and committees, we definitely appreciate them. Mayor, I'm going to recommend that we go ahead and move the alternates up. I think we have Debbie Ingledew as an alternate, number 2. And we can, and I'd also like to recommend one of the other folks in the back as Rochelle Jones as an alternate to get onto the board.
Okay.
Well, I got one question. The alternate number 1, would that be the next person in line?
I thought she was moved in, or that person was moved up a couple months ago. I just didn't see her name on here, or that person's name on here. Oh, I'm sorry, there it is. Antonio Gozzi. I take that back. Let's move alternate number 1 up there. I didn't see that person on the bottom of the list. Sorry. I changed that. My motion would be to move alternate number 1 up for the empty spot and then get one more alternate.
So would you be recommending to move Debbie Ingledew up to alternate position number 1?
Yes. Yes.
And Mr. Esper, who has been interviewed already, into the alternate number 2?
Well, I was going to recommend Rochelle Jones, but I'm not opposed to Mr. Esper at all either. Whatever the council wants to do on that. Those are just my recommendations.
So it's not a motion, it's just recommendation?
I'll make a motion to move the alternate number 1 up, alternate number 2 to position number 1, and for the position of alternate number 2 to fill that spot, I was just going to recommend Rochelle Jones, but I'm not opposed to Mark Esper.
Okay.
And since Mr. Tierney recommended him or mentioned him, I'll let him make that motion.
Mayor, if I could
Before we do that motion, I think, Councilman, we're going to have to accept the resignation first, correct?
Right, you'll need to accept the resignation, declare the vacancy, and then appoint someone to the place number 2. There's really nothing on the agenda with respect to appointing another alternate, so you would need to do that at a later date.
Okay. Well,
So,
make a motion to accept the resignation
and declare a vacancy?
and declare a vacancy.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Grena to declare a vacancy, accept the resignation, declare a vacancy, and a second by Councilman Tierney. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now then, Councilman Grena, you want to go ahead with your other motion again, please?
Yes, sir. The other motion I'd like to make is to move alternate number 1 to fill in that vacancy, and alternate number 2 to alternate 1 position. Is that correct, Ron? Or
Well, just for now, just to appoint the person to the vacant place, and then you can take care of that at next council meeting as far as...
what he said. I hear you. Yeah, Antonio Galizzi, or Gaizi,
To fill the vacancy, correct?
to fill the vacancy. Yes, sir.
We have a motion by Councilman Grena to fill the vacancy. We have a second?
Second.
A second by Councilman Durham. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Did you get that, Pat?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, consideration of upcoming meeting dates for the city's budget process. City staff has provided a calendar showing important upcoming dates for council meetings regarding the city budget process. The budget workshop is recommended to be scheduled for August 7th. Recommendation is that City Council review the proposed calendar, direct staff regarding any necessary changes, and adopt a calendar. City Manager, you kind of go over the dates and the issues there, please?
Well, the primary dates that council's typically interested in are the scheduling of the budget workshop. That is set for August 7th, 2010. That's a Saturday. We would require calling a special meeting for that, as we normally do. Then you have to, in order to maintain this particular schedule a special city council meeting on August 23rd for your public hearings on the budget, Waters Ridge budget, and the tax increase if you have one. Everything else can be done during regular council meetings, assuming we maintain this schedule.
Okay, Council, what action would you like to take?
Mayor, I'm okay with the proposed schedule and calendar, and if nobody else has anything, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion to approve the proposed scheduled calendar.
Let me just clarify that real quick. What is that? Is it August 7th?
That would be the date for the
Okay,
Saturday
that's the
workshop.
first weekend in August? Okay. Sorry.
That's all right. And then the other meeting dates also on there. Have a motion to approve by Councilman Tierney, a second by Councilman Grena. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 16 is consideration of options for conducting the 2010 Sounds of Louisville concerts. As a result of projected revenue shortfalls and other factors, funding for the 2010 Sound of Louisville concerts has been frozen. Staff is presenting 3 no-cost options for holding some version of Sounds of Louisville during 2010. Recommendation is that council give staff direction on options for 2010 Sounds of Louisville concerts. Councilman Thornhill? Or I'll just open that up to council and see what your options are after looking at what staff's proposed.
I do have a couple questions, Mayor, if I could.
Sure.
Councilman Thornhill is okay with that.
I'm okay. Go ahead.
After reviewing the actual options that we have, I have a question on the Battle of the Bands issue, and that is the organizers. Do we have anybody from that group here? The organizers, it says a group of residents.
Yes, sir, we do have Mike Robert. Do we have him on a card?
Yes. Yes, we do have Michael Roberts, who is here if needed, if you'd like to ask, if you'd like to come forward, sir.
Our estimate is that they would need to raise about $10,000 to fund the entire series in Old Town, and it would be less than that at Vista Ridge. About how much less do you anticipate?
Well, we're looking at least $800 a night at the amphitheater with the Old Town.
So we'd be looking at May, June, and July. Would that be 12 events?
Well, it's all dependent on how many bands actually sign up. We do have a great interest in it. 15 bands have contacted me on interest on it for different genres. We also have to get bids in on the sound, which is basically it. If we have it at the amphitheater, the cost is less because we don't have to have the stage, the mobile stage, or the generators, because the amphitheater does have power.
And how is your fundraising going so far?
We have just started looking into the possibilities of sponsorship through businesses in Old Town and other businesses, as far as we would make, for example, Tierney's night. That night of the Battle of the Bands presented by Tierney's Cafe, which they would get all the advertising that night for it.
Have you got his money yet?
I'll work on him on Wednesday nights.
Maybe we'll just do a 5-minute segment. I do, Mayor, if I can, thank you, Mike. I do like the idea of keeping the series going. I hate to see it, due to budget constraints, kill it completely, because it's been a very successful program for, I don't know, how many years? 15 years. And I do want to keep it going to some extent. I really like the idea of the Battle of the Bands. I like the idea of keeping it in Old Town, but I don't know if that's that viable at this time, especially with the construction and the plaza construction that's going to be taking place. Although this actually would be before that, right? Plaza construction is slated for...
Yeah, this will be well before you start Plaza. The whole season could be in without problem.
Well, also, we were looking at the attendance in Old Town was 80 to 100?
I'd say more 250.
250, and the amphitheater holds more. But we're not opposed to having the finals of the contest held in Old Town, all the preliminaries and the beginnings at the amphitheater, and then move the finals to Old Town.
Yeah, one of the things I like about the Battle of the Bands, obviously it's going to get a lot of audience participation. The bands are going to be bringing a lot more people, and I'm just thinking that could be really good as far as getting a good attendance out.
Also, we expanded the age from 15. That way some of the younger bands could come in, have them from Denton County and the surrounding areas, so they can get exposure that they normally wouldn't get.
Thank you. That's all I have right now, Mayor.
And I also had a card filled out by T.J. Gilmore, who did not wish to speak, that he is in favor of the Battle of the Bands option. Okay. Council, any other suggestions or questions?
I do want to just kind of correct the years on that. It is 19 years. It started in 1991. It's okay. Full disclosure, years back I bought the soundsoflouisville.com website to promote Sounds of Louisville after trying to get the city to do it, and that's why it's there. So we've got history on there and stuff, and really try to promote that. I love the whole concept. I think it's great entertainment. The citizens like it. There was a lot of mixed feelings about moving it to Old Town, but I can see the benefits of both. Personally, I'd like to see it at the amphitheater. There's room for kids to play on the grass over there. There is limited parking due to all the new construction and stuff over there, but we were talking for 8 to 10 weeks, one night a week, and I think it would be nice to have it back over there. So that would be my recommendation, and I thank Mike for spearheading that up and keeping it going. Thank you very much. I'm done, Mayor.
Recommendations.
Recommend to have it at the amphitheater, and I believe he called it the Battle of the Bands Battle of the Bands there at that location. That's my recommendations.
Is that in form of a motion?
Good motion.
Motion to approve. I'm sorry. Again, I off on that.
Do you have anything to say?
I'll second that.
The motion was to do what, John? The Battle of the Bands?
The Battle of the Bands at the amphitheater.
At the amphitheater, okay.
We have a set, we don't have set dates. This is tentative?
It's tentative in the sense that the sponsors are going to have to get what they can in order to put it on, and then they'll have to let us know if they're able to do that by, I think they had a self-imposed deadline of sometime later on this month, didn't they?
It is, and I don't know if that date is still applicable, Mr. Roberts, that deadline.
I didn't hear him. What did he say?
I think the goal is June at the very latest, just in order to be able to.
Towards the end of April.
The goal is to start by June. You may address the council on that.
By June, to start the Battle of the Bands in June. I'm sorry, what was the question?
I think the question is, when will you know if you can actually do it? Or at some point, we have to understand whether you're going to be able to proceed or not.
All dependent on the sponsors.
And it depends on your sponsors and your ability to get the bands, et cetera. So when did you drop dead date?
A deadline date? We hadn't gotten as far, we didn't know we'd get this far. As far as the deadline date, it would something we'd have to really move at an exponential rate to get the sponsors in. If it's in June, we would probably shoot for the end of April, having everything set up. Best guess.
In the past, the dates usually, all the dates in June, and then the first half of July, and then it usually starts up again in the fall series in September.
Well, we weren't really going to do a summer and fall series. We were going to carry it through where it was one complete series. We'd have the Battle of the Bands, which was the preliminaries, and then you have the semifinals, and then the finals would come in fall.
I'm just glad you're keeping it alive. Thank you.
No problem. I didn't want to see it die.
Okay, before we take a vote on this, though, does staff need some direction as far as to a drop-dead date that, by chance you can't get the funds raised and you can't put on the event, that staff doesn't go out and expend the expenses and stuff to do the rest of it?
Well, I think it more depends on what council might want to do in the alternative that, for whatever reason, he can't get it put together.
Right.
If you want to drop back to one of these other options, we would have to know that relatively soon in order to rely on that as a fallback position. Or you could just take your chances on this coming together properly and just go with it however long it takes them to put it together.
I'd like to see us give it a try for the end of April and see what happens.
And I do have one more question before we go on.
Go ahead.
It says at the end of the Battle of the Bands paragraphs that if we were to do this, this would require the acoustic series to be held on a different night. Are we looking to do the acoustic series as well?
No.
I think the option before you, gentlemen, is this is almost an a la carte menu, if you will, considering the amount of staff time. We're trying to do this at zero cost to the city budget, but I think that the menu, if you will, in front of you is just several options. We're offering you the opportunity to choose perhaps an acoustic series, a road show at the amphitheater. Both of those will be produced at no cost if we're able by city staff. And then the final option, number 3, is Battle of the Bands, which is a community initiative, if you will. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I think the question is, do you want to do all three if the council wants to do all three? And I think one of the issues here is whether you're starting to compete against yourself to some degree if you do too much. If you're going to do the Battle of the Bands, my recommendation would be that you focus on that and you do that alone.
I think it was 3 different options. They had an option of like an acoustic series, and then the other option was the bands that would actually do a cover charge at the amphitheater. There's 3 separate options.
And to answer your question, Councilman Tierney, the acoustic series would take place on the same Tuesday night that we've normally had them as their Battle of the Bands. And so it would actually be one or the other, so that as those two aren't competing against each other.
Yeah.
All I got.
Okay, Councilman Durham had said something about putting a date on there at the end of April. Did you want to amend your motion to that, or you just want to leave your motion as is?
That's fine. We can add that to the motion. Hopefully, you'll get it all done. I don't want to see this go away. I'm all in favor of even postponing it a couple of weeks just to have something going there at the amphitheater, music, free for the citizens. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not in favor of a cover charge at all for...
No, we weren't going to have a cover charge at all. We were actually going to charge the bands to participate.
Okay.
In the battle.
And that's fine, but there are a lot of bands out there, as you know, that would like to even just participate in free. I'm glad to see there's some that will even pay. But Battle of the Bands for the prize and all that stuff, I'm all for that. I think it'd be kind of interesting. I think this will be a first for Sounds of Louisville. And again, this is year number 19, and sure would hate to see it go away. So my motion is, at the amphitheater, Battle of the Bands, no cover charge, and have a deadline by the end of April 30th or 31st, whatever that month ends with, to let us know, and if we need to address it at the very next city council meeting, we will. That's my motion.
I'll second the amended part.
Okay, we have a motion and a motion by Councilman Guerrero, a second by Councilman Durham. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. What I would ask you to do is, if you see that you're going to have trouble meeting that deadline, but you think you still can pull it off, if you will get with staff as quick as possible when you see that, if you see that happening, get with them quick as possible to see what we can do to help alleviate some of that.
Sure will.
All right?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 17, just discussion regarding Section 3.02, qualifications of the Louisville Home Rule Charter in regards to Councilman John Guerrero, as requested by Councilman David Thornhill and Councilman Greg Tierney. Councilman Thornhill and Councilman Tierney have requested that discussion be held regarding portions of Section 3.02, qualifications of the city charter, which state in relevant part as follows. The mayor and each member of the city council shall not be in arrears in the payment of any taxes or other liabilities due to the city. And the city council shall also have the power and authority to declare, and may at its next regular meeting declare a vacancy to exist in the office of mayor or any councilman if such mayor or councilman A, lacks at any time during his term of office any qualifications for the office prescribed by this charter or by law, or B, violates any express prohibition of this charter. Recommendation of staff is that council conduct discussion as listed in the caption above. Start off with, I'm going to ask our legal counsel what has been done on this and what information you have come up with regarding the charter and the matter in question.
Mayor, I need to abstain from this item because I am employed by the Denton Central Appraisal District.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Mayor. As you know, this came forward on an internet website, and some of the council, it was brought to their attention, and so I was contacted to see about the particular language in the charter and what it meant and what might be available as far as your any action that you might take on this. We did conduct some legal research and found really the only Texas case that's pretty much on point in this is regards the matter in the city of Longview back in 1995, and that was an issue where elected officials had not paid their property taxes, and the charter provisions in question are extremely similar to those in the Louisville City Charter in the Longview case. And in that case, the court held that the provisions whereby a councilman or mayor could be removed from office for not having qualifications was in violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. In essence, that portion of it is unconstitutional. This situation also arose in the city of San Benito earlier this year. Similar situation, similar charter provisions, and a council member or a mayor, I don't recall, was removed as being a member of the city council. That person filed suit against the city, and just last week there was an order from the district court that that person should be reinstated. So that's the only cases that we know of that are similar to situations such as this, and so I advised you of that and said that, in essence, as far as removing someone from office, in our opinion, that could not be done, but you were not precluded from discussing the matter, and someone would need to request to be put on an agenda, which is what occurred. Just as a sidelight or a side note, when people file for office to be on the ballot to be elected, the city secretary's office and the finance department usually run a check with Denton County to see if there are any taxes due, just as a courtesy to the candidates, because, again, it's kind of buried in the charter about the arrearages and so forth, and that was done back in February as people were signing up to run, and there was no one with any delinquent accounts. And then last week they did check again with Steve Mossman, and he indicated that JMG Enterprises is a new account and it has an account number, and that's all that we have factually on it.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. I'm sorry, yes, something else?
No.
Okay. What I'd like to remind Council on is that we are not here to be judge or jury. We are here to, as the agenda states, to simply discuss the portions of the city charter, section 3.02, which I read to you before, and the matters that pertain directly to that. We're not here to get into a he said, she said type issue or to any attack mode or anything like that. We're just here to try to make sure that the issues are addressed as far as the city charter goes, and that's all the discussion that we're allowed to have on this item, because that's all that's on the item. So with that, Councilman Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of reasons why I had brought this to the agenda. I've received quite a few comments from residents on this issue, and some of them have been on both sides of the fence. And it's actually, a number of them have actually accused us as a council that we wouldn't do anything, and actually I've heard that it's a good old boy network. This is a fellow council member, and you certainly aren't going to do anything, and you certainly won't do anything, and that's just, I believe certainly in government transparency, and I thought that we definitely had to bring this to the forefront, bring it to the public, and discuss it in an open public meeting. Second reason why I brought this up, and I'm glad to hear the city attorney address this, because this was one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up. Some people had read that there's rumors out there that we can have this council member removed for this issue, and there's this misnomer that that's what can be done, and that's what should be done according to some people. So I wanted to bring this again to the front and have a chance for our legal staff to address it, to bring it up out in an open public meeting to discuss exactly what can and can't be done. Thank you for your research, Ron. Which brings me to a side note as to if that is actually what the charter says, and these are the cases that directly apply to this charter. My question is, why is that in our charter? That's a discussion for another day. The third reason why I want to bring this up as it's stated, that the mayor read at the beginning, is it's our job as a council to ensure that there's no council member that's in debt to the city. And I think it's important that we as a council have to address that, and also it gives Councilman Grina an opportunity to publicly state his position. He started to in the workshop. So I wanted to also offer that opportunity to Councilman Grina. And that's all I have at this point, Mayor.
Councilman Thornhill?
Thank you, Mayor. The reason why I brought this up was not the tax issue. I guess it was more of, we had a situation here, we had a charter that we took an oath on, and basically after talking with Ron, the city attorney, it kind of came to me that this particular clause in our charter for a qualification of a council person just won't hold up. And so I guess my concern was, like Councilman Tierney just said, why is it in there? Because all it's doing right now is confusing a lot of people and probably confusing the council some too. So I've sat on charter review committees before, and I know how the process works. And we just had a review not too long ago on our charter, and here we sit tonight with this. So I would like at some point to go back and revisit the qualifications, and if this can't hold water, then let's remove it. That's all I got. Thank you.
I did want to read a statement for Councilman Watts. He had sent me this in email and asked me to read this. Lathan Watts, he's Mayor Pro Tem. Please read the following statement into the record when discussing item 17 regarding Councilman Grina. First, let me begin by expressing my regrets for not being able to attend tonight's council meeting. Since I was elected in 2007, I have rarely missed a meeting except when my responsibility to my employer presented an unavoidable scheduling conflict. Tonight is no different. I am in Orlando representing my association at our national convention, an obligation which I have known about and informed the council of back in October. I wanted to make that clear so that no one would misunderstand or read anything into my absence when the issue was discussed, which is why I asked the mayor to read this statement for the record. Our city attorney has reviewed thoroughly the pertinent sections of our charter and recent case law and brought to the attention of the council 2 recent court decisions regarding cases with fact in city charters very similar to ours. In both cases, the removal of the council member was overturned by the court. Let me conclude by noting that I have not spoken with Councilman Grina or any other council member on this matter. Councilman Grina and I may not always agree on every issue, but I know him to be an honest man. The power to elect, re-elect, or remove any member of this council rests appropriately in the hands of the voters in whose judgment I place and trust. So I wanted to read that in for Councilman Watts, who could not be here tonight. Councilman Grina.
Sorry, sometimes I'm a girl. As I should like to get this over with, and I do appreciate it. First of all, I want to apologize for even having a problem. I can assure you that none of this was intentional. I wasn't trying to not pay my taxes. I didn't even know I had to pay taxes. What do I do for a living? I'm a consultant. I'm unemployed right now because no one's has hired me for the next hour to go work for them. I work by the hour, and I go fix PCs. I don't have clients come to my personal residence, my private residence, and I started this part-time a long time ago when I was working for TI, and when I became a fireman, it started growing. And I knew early on that, man, I'm not a CPA. What do I need to do to run a business? Started off with H&R Block, got a CPA firm. They helped me get my doing business as papers and so forth. No one's ever told me that I had to pay personal property taxes on the old desk and computer that I have in my office that I play games on. I knew from a few years ago, and this is a learning experience. Just because you have a business doesn't mean you're supposed to know everything. That's why you hire CPAs and attorneys and stuff as you grow. So I grew part-time to a point where I was able to leave being a firefighter and pursue this. Sorry, got off track there. But as soon as I found out about this, I made amends to fill out the paperwork, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Last Monday, I got a call from a local blogger, and I'm not going to disparage him or anything, but every time I have a conversation, it's always something bad's about to happen. I admit I was very upset with him, and I admit that I got angry about it is I felt like I was being accused of lying, cheating, and stealing, and I don't do that. And but knowing that something was up, I called the Denton County Appraisal District late Monday night. That was March 8th, and Monday afternoon, and I talked to a nice lady up there, and I asked her, what's this all about? And she said, well, technically, yes, we'll get you on the books and we'll start from here. Got the paperwork. I was over at a client's when I got a call, so I got the paperwork, and the next day I called them back and had a few questions, and we filled it out. And it appears that my 2010 taxes will be less than $20, and that's after I doubled the value of all my stuff. Now, what do I have? That's between me and the county, but I will tell you that I'm like a mechanic. Mechanics have the worst-shaped cars. I'm a computer guy. When people are throwing stuff away, I'm saying, man, that's usable, and I do it. What would people pay for my stuff? I can guarantee you it's probably about half of what I'm claiming. It's less than $20. I'm not going to, I wouldn't want to lose all this for $20 a year. But I thought it was over with Tuesday. Wednesday, I get a call from our counselor, who is very knowledgeable and does his due diligence, and I appreciate that call very much. I get an email from him with it attached with, my opponent wondering why I'm not off, and I'm starting to think it's getting serious here. What's going on? Then I get a call from county, and I'm trying to get it moved forward, and the paperwork's going through, everything's filled out fine on the paperwork, and I said, can I pay this now? Well, what can I do? I mean, let's just get this over with, done with. And she said, well, you don't even have an account yet. You don't have a bill yet. There's no due date yet. It's going to take about 6 weeks before you get a due date. Now, if you're late on that bill, then you're going to be in arrears, and there'll be penalties. And I said, man, I just want the bill so I can pay it. So when I do get the bill, I will pay it, and pay it promptly. Thursday, I find out it's going to be on the agenda, and Friday, I get a call from the Dallas Morning News, and reluctantly, she was going to write an article story about it, so I answered her questions, and she was very nice. I think she wrote a fair article. Don't have any qualms about that. Thank you, Wendy. And it wasn't in favor of me or against me. It was just fair. But since that article came out on Saturday morning, my phone's been ringing off the hook. And I want to thank all my supporters, people that, my family, my brothers in the back, next to my lovely wife, and I thank them very much. And my friends and new friends I've never met before that are here. I met a gentleman earlier that was here for me, and I appreciate that very much. It means a lot to me to have you come and stand up for me and see how crazy this is. I do want to say that I don't think Mr. Tierney or Mr. Thornhill did anything wrong. This needs to be addressed. This, to me, is a serious accusation. I wish it was handled a little differently. If I'd known, what my options were, whatever, I would have requested that we at least discuss it, because I don't like being accused of doing anything wrong. That's it. I'm a small business person. So what did I learn this week? The personal property tax, I always thought it was for commercial retail businesses, home office, not personal private residences, but office buildings, paint stores, whatever. They have to take inventory and pay personal property taxes on that. A couple of years ago, when I was a citizen attending these council meetings, I got up and spoke about how I was in favor of that abatement, because it's like taxing you what's in your pockets. Man, was I surprised when I found out last week that it would apply to my personal home. So let me tell all you Avon, Amway, Mary Kay, consultants, lawn mowing, massage therapists, whatever you do, if you're using your home computer that you play games on to do invoices or get on the internet to do research like I do your due diligence. The right thing is to render it to the county, sign up, pay your taxes. Mine was less than $20 a year, but it's what we're supposed to do. Until the law changes, I'll always be in favor of that law changing. The rest of us pay our real property tax, which is our land and building, and what's in question here is personal property tax, your desk, your lamp, your fax machine. When I found out that I needed to pay it, I immediately took action to fix it. I think the story was nothing but gotcha politics from people that don't like my views on the issues that I've been fighting for. Not here to campaign right now, though we have an election in 2 months. May 8th is the election, so I guess that's 3 months.
John, I would ask you not to
Yes, sir.
campaign.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But I do want to apologize for this even being an issue. I wish I knew about it before, because I would have taken care of it a long time ago. If there are any comments, I'll address them later, but that's pretty much my statement. Bottom line is, I did not know the taxes needed to be paid. As soon as I found out, I had the forms filled out and making it and just waiting for the bill. As soon as I get the bill, it will be paid. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor?
Yes.
Just a couple things I want to point out to Councilman Garina. First and foremost, I don't think anybody up here has accused you of doing anything wrong.
It was the phone call that I had from Mr. Southwell Monday that I was referring to, not you, sir.
Well, hold on just a minute. I'd ask that we stick to what's on the agenda, not pointing fingers and...
Okay.
I just need a little clarification, Mayor, for what he had said.
Okay. Yeah, and my clarification is I do not think that Mr. Thornhill and Mr. Tierney did anything wrong. This needed to be addressed. I thought I said that, but I'll repeat it.
And then the only other thing was the gotcha politics, and assuming the same thing, that you weren't...
I was not referring to anybody on the city council or the city staff.
Thank you.
Okay.
At all. And I appreciate your support.
Let's stop it at that point. Because that's getting to battering back and forth and campaigning, politicking, and that's not what's on the agenda. That's not what we're here to discuss. What we are here to discuss is, like I read to you earlier, is the Section 3.02 of the city charter. And we, as I think Councilman Thornhill said earlier, we take an oath to uphold that, and if we see something in violation of that, we take an oath to check that out and to abide by our city charter. If there is an issue that is in conflict with our city charter, it's up to us to not ignore it, but to discuss it, see what the situation is. I think it's been well said by everyone up here that there was no intent to do anything other than find out exactly what was going on, find out the facts, find out what is happening from our legal. This job is something that we do because we love our community. We give back to the community. A lot of us have been here for a lot of years. I've been here since 1983 and in this city, and was in Highland Village for 12 years before that. But we get paid $50 a month to do this, and that's not here nor there, other than the fact that we don't make a living doing this. We all have our own businesses. We all have our own ways of making a living, as well we should. This is something you give back to your community in. The other thing is that when we take on this job, I think I've been very proud of the councils that I have served with over the years. take very seriously the concerns of the citizens. And when we have citizens that call us and complain, whether it be a hawk in the neighborhood that's attacking the small pets, or whether it be a pothole, whether it be a vandalism, whether it be burglary, whether it be whatever the issue is, we take it seriously, and I believe the rest of the council does too. I know I always, when I get a complaint, which I will say this, once you do become mayor, you get 1,000 more calls and 1,000 more emails than you did before you were on council. And that's okay, because I enjoy visiting with people and trying to share with them. I try to hear their side of the story, but also try to look at the city side of the story, because I think the city is trying to do what is in the best interest of the entire city, not for one particular person or one particular neighborhood, but for the entire city. So you have to weigh the factors for the entire city. So I think we take that seriously, and when we do that, we usually go to staff, and we try to find out, we take it the complaint or the inquiry from the citizen, we try to find out from staff, because they are the people that we pay to do this job. In fact, every one of us sitting up here, including Councilman Watts, just gave all these people a pay increase over the last few years, and have also, during their reviews, patted them on the back, told them what a wonderful job they were doing for this city. Every one of us did that in review. And that is something that we do in a closed session with the staff members that report directly to the council, whom some of you may not know, but I'll tell you, our city manager reports directly to the council, city attorney reports directly to the council, city secretary reports directly to the council, and so does our judge. And those four people all got exemplary recommendations for everybody sitting up here. And so we go to those people because we depend on them to research the facts, because we're part-timers. We're out here making a living just like you are, supporting our families. And so we go to them to research the facts and get the evidence. We also feel that it's incumbent on us to address issues for our citizens so that we don't have people saying, well, why are you going to kick him out of office, or why are you going to try to cover that issue up? But to not do that, but give full transparency and let everyone know exactly what is going on, why it is being brought to an issue, and what is exactly out there in the forefront. So with that, we do have some cards filled out. I will ask you once again, just as I did to council, to speak directly to the item that's on the agenda, which is, I've read to you before, speak directly to this item, and I'd ask that you not do any finger pointing or accusations or anything that are not, that you don't have proof and fact of, but something that you believe, that you feel to say. I want you to welcome you to say it, but I ask you once again to remember that these people are here to serve you and have been doing a good job over the years, everyone. So with that, Susan, and I'm not sure if it's Godsey or Gosley, if you'd come forward, if you're here. Sorry, it's hard for me to read your writing, ma'am.
So what is the address?
245 Herod.
That would be me.
I'm sorry, ma'am, how is that?
Mosley?
Mosley, I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. I thought it was a G. I beg your pardon.
No, apology received. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
A little surprised, I have to admit to you, City Council, although I do appreciate your intent of that being to be transparent. I voted for Mr. Gorena. Is it Gorena or Gorena? Could you, because I've heard a lot of different people pronounce.
Gorena, G-O-R-E-N-A.
Gorena.
Yeah.
Okay. I did vote for him based on the debates and based on his stance on several issues. So when I was apprised of this, I did a little investigation myself today just on what you all were reporting, what was from the internet. And I was concerned because as a citizen I was concerned when I heard about the city spending, up to $100,000 and more on a zoning issue with someone had in their yard. I have been concerned about how we're spending our dollars. So when this came up, I was kind of upset, to be honest with you, thinking that I might have hired someone and voted for someone
that was not reporting. But now that I've been here and I see how much of our taxpayer dollars have gone into investigating $20, and I do appreciate the fact that you did your job, sir, and I'm sure that it took quite an amount of time to do so. Because you all really donate your time, $50 a month, Mayor, is not very much money for all the work that you do, and it is very much appreciated. However, I have to say this kind of an issue, and I've seen it not just with Mr. Guarena, but with other issues in the city of Louisville on many levels. It concerns me. It concerns me that with 7 children, I gave up 3 hours of my time for $20. Okay? I mean, anybody not knowing every little thing on your taxes, please stand up. I mean, if you own a business, if you know every single thing you're supposed to report, I know.
I'd ask you to please just keep your comments to what's on the agenda and to what the law says and what we're up to hold. It's not it's not an issue of amount. It's not anything. If it's $20 million, would you have a different opposition? It's what's in the law and what we have to look at. So I'd ask you to keep your remarks to what's on the agenda, because we don't know what's owed actually at this time. We don't know.
Okay, I understand that. I do appreciate it. I think that it is questionable right now, okay? It's questionable, the motives, because for this to become an issue of the city, for everyone to come out concerning this, I think you would have done wise between yourselves to communicate a little bit better before this came out in public.
The problem we have with that, ma'am, is that's a violation of the Open Records Act. We're not allowed to do that, state and federal law.
But you can make it available to the city without making it an issue. It did not legally, if I invite you to correct me if I'm wrong, but could you not have discussed with your legal counsel, as they did, what kind of issues to bring before the city with city time? This is an important issue. I appreciate that. But it's an issue that is quite extensive, sir, and I would just ask that as you look into people's personal property taxes, please also look into the issue that what you all are doing in terms of your time and asking attorneys and, with bloggers and all this, that you can address some of these issues, well, let's just say with a little better discretion, maybe. I mean, discretion in terms of our time.
I can assure you,
how many hours have spent on this particular issue.
We don't violate the Open Records Act, and we have to be very careful when we do that.
I do appreciate that, but.
I'm sorry?
Meetings.
In meetings, yeah. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
With record, yes, in terms of this city public issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Anita Fitzgerald, 341 West Purnell Street. If you'd state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Benita Fitzgerald. I live on Purnell here in Old Town Louisville. Good evening, Councilman and Mayor. It's nice to see y'all again. I've been to several workshops and council meetings in the last couple of years, and it's been very educational. This workshop, I left scratching my head just a little bit, but you clarified some things here. I would have liked to have heard a couple of the councilmen discuss in regards to what was going on. I wasn't sure what your thoughts were when when Councilman Guarena was speaking in the workshop, because I would have known a little bit more what I would have or wouldn't want to have said if I didn't know if you ought to discuss something or replied to him in there. So that was something I hope that, I just wanted to let you know how I felt about that. I do appreciate our council. I do know what it must take to volunteer your time to the city. And some of you have been on this council for many, many years. I personally, as a citizen of Louisville, living here since I was 12, have learned to appreciate what it takes to be a councilman and what it takes for our mayor, for all of you to do your job, and I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for enlightening me this evening. It is very serious, and it is very important, the behavior of our councilmen. And they do have to meet a little bit higher standards than others do, I think, or we expect it, I do. I'm glad that Councilman Guarena explained to us how this all came about, because I was unaware of it for a while until the newspaper article and so forth. I'm guessing that what I've heard tonight is that he's not in arrears, and that we do know that, or does that have to be investigated? I'd like to know if you know that at this time, or if he is...
That's not up to this council.
We don't...
That's not our job.
Oh, okay. I didn't
We
know
have
if
no
that...
authority over that. That's not
Okay.
our job.
I was just curious as to if that was the basis on, whether he would be continuing as a councilman or not. I personally...
Can the attorney address that?
What?
Whether he's actually in the arrears, or no?
We can ask him.
Well, I don't know that you're in a position to make a finding, at this particular point in time. The rendering of property for taxes is a duty that is required under the definition of arrearage. But again, this is just for discussion at this point in time.
Okay, discussion at this point. So I will end my comments with saying that I endorse Councilman Guarena. I voted for him. I think that he is, one of the things I appreciated about him was his morals and his standards. I find him to be a very upstanding man, a good man. My personal opinion would be to the councilman that I don't think he intentionally would have brought himself into this position if he was aware of it. And I just wanted you to know my feelings on this. I just hope that the council supports their fellow councilmen when they do find out, whichever it is. If everything works out great, that he continues to have your support. I know that you have to do a job. But I really hope the best for the councilman, and that everything comes out up and above board, and we can put this all behind us, and we can do it quickly. And that you just keep us all abreast of it, and that we hear it from the council, not from anywhere else. And I certainly do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Muller?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, other people up on the dais, and ladies and gentlemen in the audience. My name is Fred Muller. I live at 2190 South Euchre in Louisville. A little bit of background for myself. I've been an economist, business economist, and a state economist for about 15 years. I've actually managed a state department with about 900 employees and a budget of about $120 million. One of my agencies, we got involved in promulgating ethics legislation and actually overseeing the ethics legislation as it applies to state officials. So this is not unusual in terms of taking a look at what the charter says and the age of the charter. In addition to your comments under Section 3.02, the ability of the council to declare a vacancy exists if such mayor or councilman at any time lacks, during the term of their office, any of the qualifications for the office prescribed by this charter by law, which is a very broad brush. And also, if a councilman or the mayor violates any express prohibition of this charter, again, I don't know how detailed that is, if the councilman or mayor is convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude or a felony, which to me would be pretty serious, or fails to attend 3 consecutive regular meetings of the council without being excused by the council. So you've got under 4 items, all the way from felonies to missing 3 meetings, of which the judgment could be the same, the removal of a council person. And I think that probably when you go in and start taking a look at this section, that maybe the entire charter needs to be looked at and updated. You take a look at exactly what this means and how it can be applied in future cases. I don't know if everybody, I presume most of you folks do have computers at home, and I bet you some of your work stuff is on your computers. I would hope that you're paying your property taxes for that, as well as whatever else you might have that you use for it. There's also under Chapter 171 of your charter, a regulation of conflicts of interest of officers in municipalities. And there's prohibited acts that are involved in that, including a local public official commits an offense if he knowingly violates Section 171.
Sir, I'd ask you, that's not on the agenda tonight. We can't discuss that.
Well, it pertains...
Sir, we can't discuss it because it's not on the agenda. When you look at the Open Records and Meetings Act, we can only discuss what's on the agenda, and it's Section 3.02 of the Charter, not other parts of the Charter.
Okay.
If you'd like to discuss that another time, you're welcome to come back.
What I would recommend would be, would be that you take a look at the entire Charter and not just this one section, because there are other areas that pertain to it. Also, I passed out a copy of an item that appeared on the internet today. Bob Shallot, IRS visits Sacramento car wash in pursuit of 4 cents. They sent 2 IRS people to collect a debt of 4 cents from a car wash owner. I mean, if you can think of the amount of money that it cost to send those people there and do it. It's what one of the previous ladies that spoke said. They can't believe that this issue came up.
I'd ask you
I understand.
to this chart, to the question that's on this agenda, not what the IRS is doing.
I guess it's a question of severity. One of the problems we have as citizens is that we look at our governing body and we hope that they take on issues of severity and substance, and not spend it on things that are minor. And to me, this would be somewhat of a minor issue, although it is in the Charter and it is reflected by it, but it needs to be, that thing needs to be exercised or fixed. I wish you well. And by the way, I commend both Councilman Tierney and Thornhill for what they did. I think that when you run across something that's wrong and needs to be changed, you need to take action on it. But I would say maybe do a charter revision committee and do all of them.
We did just do a charter review committee. It was made up of 6 citizens.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming. Lana Turner. Maybe it's Lanera Turner. Lanera? Landra? I'm sorry. Turner. Who would give your name and address for the record, please?
Okay. I'm Landra Turner, 1220 Cloudy Sky Lane in Louisville, 75067. This is kind of changed up what I was going to say, so this is on the top of my head. I guess one question I've got is, if the question is that he was in arrearage, why was this not checked before it was put on the agenda? Because apparently he was not in arrearage. So that's one question I've got for this to be put on the agenda.
What was put on the agenda was discussion of this. No action whatsoever, discussion of it, and that's what we said.
I understand, but if there was an arrearage in the first place, then I don't know, I don't understand why it came up at this point.
Because we were discussing to see if there was.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess while I'm up here, then I would like to at least say that I've been very involved with John the last year. I want to say, as far as a character reference, that I think John is very above board. I think he's a very honest man. I think when agendas come up, issues come up, that he researches beyond everything, and I do not think that he would jeopardize his position or his reputation in this area for a mere $20. So anyway, I would just like to say that. I think he's a man above character. So,
Thank you, ma'am. Kimberly McQuarrie. If you would, state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Kimberly McCary, 331 West Walters in Louisville. We sometimes take our liberties for granted, and I am thankful that we have a representative form of government and that people like yourselves are willing to serve us. I'm thankful that we can challenge our elected officials, and quite frankly, this has taken a tenor that makes me proud to be here. You guys have shown yourself to be able to police yourselves tonight. You've dispelled every good old boy myth that you had referred to earlier, and you've convincingly clarified your motives for bringing this forward. I applaud the citizens who would raise these issues in forums even such as blogs, and applaud yourselves because you were looking for transparency and accountability. What we ended up uncovering was a problem with our charter, and I don't know of any attorney in the state that knows more municipal law than Mr. Neiman. I think he's presented the problem with the charter very convincingly, and I would further say I don't know how someone could be in arrears if they haven't been assessed a penalty or a fine. I don't believe our charter provides for the removal of a council person in a situation like this. Rather, I think our citizens can decide in the next vote. I myself have come to know Mr. Guerra and his wife through my campaigning myself. He is very highly respected by people much more influential than me. And in fact, when he found out that there was a problem, he basically called me and asked me to distance myself from him because it could hurt him. And I was not willing to do that, and I think that that does show his character as y'all have shown your character tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Melanie, and I'm sorry, is it Tasanakonos, 305 West College Street? I'm sorry, what did you say? Sakanas.
There's a lot of us. You don't know that name?
No, I'm sorry.
Sakanas.
Thank you.
Now, how's it
Thank
pronounced? Because I'm hearing two different versions up here.
I didn't hear him. I'm sorry. It's Sauconus.
I'm sorry?
It's Sauconus.
Sauconus, not Sauconus.
Yes,
Okay, that's what I was told. All right, thank you, ma'am.
Melanie Sauconus at 305 College Street.
Thank you very much.
And I guess, listening to everything that you guys have talked about has kind of changed over the course of this whole entire night. What I was going to say, and I guess what I'm going to end up saying is very different. But, I'm here because I have a lot of respect for John Guerra, and I'm here to support him. But listening to this, it doesn't sound like that there's even an issue. It sounds like the issue is not with him, but with the charter. It's not an issue of, I think because the original charter was probably done in the spirit of tax evaders. I don't know, I mean, would you guys say that as councilmen, that it was made and written so that you could catch people evading taxes? And that's really not what John Guerra was doing, and that's probably when the city attorney did his research, why those cases were dismissed, because it was such a minute, little detail within the tax law that somebody who doesn't pay a personal property tax on a $350 computer is not going to be thrown out of office and sued and won.
I don't think that was the reason they were dismissed. I think some of them were pretty substantial evasions of tax. But
he didn't mention that. He said that the cases were similar.
Right.
So I just assumed that it was a similar case dealing with personal property tax.
Right.
He didn't give all the details.
Right.
But I'm just assuming that if they were indeed similar to his case, I understand it, and therefore I think that the qualifications of the charter were probably outdated and need to be reviewed because, in fact, I don't know if any one of you right now are sending personal business emails from your personal computer, but could that be considered business use? I mean, in the voice of transparency, is everybody willing on the council to give up that information at this point in time? So that we can all know who has sent a business email from their personal computer? That would be my question. And then, of course, the charter obviously was done many years ago in the spirit of, okay, we don't want tax evaders. None of us do. You guys are serving us, and we're paying our city taxes and our county taxes, and somebody who's serving us, who's spending our money, I don't want to hear that they're not paying their taxes either. And so at first, when I first heard about what happened with John, I was like, why wouldn't John have paid his taxes? I know him. And then, listening to and hearing the remainder of the story is really, kind of come together for me that it's not about, he wouldn't have done that and he wouldn't have evaded taxes. So, that's really all I wanted to say, and in the voice of, transparency, have we all done that? Have we all sent a business email? So, and that's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Francis, and I'm not sure if it's Drain or Darren? Davis.
Mayor, do you need some glasses?
No, well, you're probably right. Sometimes I can't read some of the signatures. Of course, people can't read my signature either, so.
Okay. Well,
If you would just give your name and address for the record, please.
Francis Davis, 2197 South Euchre, apartment 711. I came here to kind of fight with your guys, but as all the others now, we have a different view. But I'm here to speak on behalf of John Guarena as a person, friend, and councilman. John, it never crossed my mind that you would have done anything wrong. I knew that there would be an explanation. But other people were probably against you, and the doubt was cast, which was very bad. Fortunately for John, there are those of us who know him, know his family, and know of his love and devotion for this country, and that is why John has been fighting to preserve our values, our culture, and our city. I have voted for John, intend to do my best for him to get reelected, and I think that you are very lucky to have him amongst you. I am lucky to have him as one of our councilmen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, this one I can read. Susan Davis.
I believe that's Suzanne.
Probably is. Be my luck. So is it Susan or Suzanne?
Susan.
All right. Okay. All right. I got it right.
Yeah, I'm the lady with the unique name. Well, I came here, as many of us did, to give our testimony for John Guarena. And I found out, hearing John, that I am now speaking as a tax evader to another tax evader, because I didn't know I had to pay taxes on my personal computer. Thank you, John. I shall find out, and I shall also see that I am not in arrears, as is your case. I think, like everybody, we know that if John knew that this was a problem, it would never have occurred. We trust you totally, and I gave him one vote, and I will give him another with very clear conscience come next May. Thank you very
ma'am.
much.
Timothy Hilcher, or Hillary? Is it Hillary? Oh, I'm sorry? Oh, good. You would just give your name and address for the record, please, sir.
2 in a row.
My name is Timothy Hillary. I live at 118 Bowling Green Drive, Louisville. I think this probably wouldn't have been an issue if the Denton County tax assessors had done their work. Everybody registers as a DBA. Okay, so they have everybody's name, everybody's address. If they're supposed to be paying taxes, they should be sending out the forms. When I had a commercial business, I got a form every year that says, list all your property on there, send it back into us, and we'll tax you for it. Okay? How many DBAs get that tax form? How many of them actually know they're supposed to pay taxes until they get that form? This wouldn't have been a question at all if they'd done their job. And how much money is Louisville losing in taxes? Because the county's tax assessor is not doing their job.
That's a question you have to ask Mr. Mossman, sir. We don't have any control over that.
Okay, this wouldn't have been an issue when it came up if they did their job, so I think the fault falls on their shoulders.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We also have a card from Yvonne Field, does not wish to speak. She says she supports John Guarena against removing him. Of course, there was never an item on there to remove him. And then a card filled out by Miss, I can't read the first name, but it's Vargas. Can you read it? Florence? Valencia, I'm sorry, Valencia. Thank you very much. Vargas does not wish to speak, and they are in opposition. And Oscar Matthews does not wish to speak and is in support.
Is that?
With that, appreciate everyone coming down and speaking their piece and hearing their minds. I appreciate everyone sticking to the topic and to the subject. We are charged to abide by the Open Records and Meeting Act, which allows us only to discuss topics that are on the agenda. When we try to vary off that, it's my job and duty as your mayor to make sure that we stay on the item that is on the agenda and don't get in discussing other items. And so I appreciate your latitude in doing that and making sure that we stayed on this agenda. As I said earlier, there was no one here accusing anyone of anything. There was things brought up by several citizens, and I have received several phone calls and questions about the situation. What are we going to do? What is going on? So on and so forth. And mixed on both sides. And people wanted to know. So Councilman Tierney and Councilman Thornhill put it on here so that people would know exactly what is going on and let everybody make up their own mind from that point. So with that, we've had discussion. Does council have any other further discussion real quick before we close?
Mayor, if I just may, I want to thank everybody who came, and I know that those last two cards that were read, I know it was a little confusing, and I know both of you said you're here to support me, and I appreciate it. Nice meeting you. Just want to say thank you for everybody. Someone who mentions what we discussed in the workshop, keep in mind, what I said in there was a courtesy to my fellow councilmen. I wanted them to know, and I wanted to apologize to them directly that I just didn't know. Thank you for understanding that I'm actually not in arrears, and I've heard a lot of praise today, and I appreciate it. It fills my soul, it fills my heart with joy to hear about it. DBA from the county, that would have prevented all this, the gentleman that brought that up. It's something that next time I see Mr. Mossman, I'm going to recommend it. Because
once again, let's stick to the topic on the agenda.
Thank you. Sorry, Mayor. I am done. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Okay. Reports. Mika. Bob. Well, we got a big weekend coming up, Bob. Give us a little preview.
All right, sir. March 27th, we've got a large weekend out at the Railroad Park. We'll kick it off with the Easter egg hunt for everyone out there. It's $1 for the Easter egg hunt, and there'll be a pancake breakfast that's available out there as well. We've got a big soccer tournament out there, the Panda Cup, that'll be kicking off. And then we've got our first event at the skate park. We'll have a competition out there at the skate park. All of this information is available on our website.
And Bob's being very humble, but that new park that we just opened, nearly 300 acres we just opened a few months ago, is just catching on like wildfire here in the Metroplex, and we are having more and more events come out there, and more people get it. The dog park is being used constantly, and there is a phone number that you can call for the dog parks to make sure it's open, because as Bob pointed out to me, a lot of places that have dog parks, once they build them, they just build them and that's it. And we didn't want to do that. We wanted to maintain the dog park. We want to try to keep a grassy area out there, a well-manicured area, where when you go out there, we had one person say, well, just open it up. We're dog owners. We put our boots on and go play. We really don't want that type of atmosphere out there. We want something where you and your kids can go out there and have fun and not have to worry about slipping and sliding in the mud all the time. I'm not saying it's not going to happen occasionally. We want to try to do our best to keep it. So there is a phone number you can call to make sure the dog park is open before you go out there. It is open most of the time. Sometimes we do have to close it, especially when it's bad rain. We don't want to tear the fields up. So everybody do that. And the baseball tournaments that are coming to town, soccer tournaments just keep coming in. So we thank y'all for all the work you're doing. I think Bob said all leave was canceled this weekend for staff. Chief? Linda. Chief.
No, sir.
How's the weather going?
How's the weather or the lake?
Both.
Weather's gorgeous, and the lake is right at conservation.
Thank you. You do such good work with our lake. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Carol. Brenda. Mr. Ferris. No, sir. Councilman Grena.
Police Chief Kerbo, I'm very proud of your award for you. Congratulations again, sir.
City Manager? Councilman Thornhill?
No, sir.
Councilman Tierney?
No, sir.
Counselor?
No.
Pat?
No, sir.
Officer, once again, we thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate all you do, sir. With that, we will, according to Texas Government Code Subchapter D, Section 551.071, contemplated litigation regarding Grand Communications and Verizon, Section 551.072, property acquisition, and Section 551.087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations. We will convene into executive session.